Hi guys, this is gsno.com and I'm here with the review of the Xiaomi Mi Note 10. Finally, this is the Penta camera phone that everybody's been talking about. And yes, it's a 5 camera handset with a 108 megapixel shooter at the back side. So basically it's supposed to be a rival for the Huawei P30 Pro and also for the Nokia 9 PureView. Okay, so first things first, the price tag should be around $600 for this baby right here. It's the first Penta camera phone from Xiaomi. It's the first 108 megapixel camera phone on the market available in the stores. The Mi Mix Alpha was a concept. It's got a huge battery and it's a bit of a powerhouse in the mid-range and high mid-range department. So first things first, let's talk about the design. The obvious elephant in the room is the similarity with the Huawei P30 Pro. If you look at the backside and exclude the Xiaomi logo, you may be hard pressed to find differences between this and the P30 Pro. Of course, extra cameras, but the triple camera bulk here is very similar to the Huawei one. Obviously, it's made of glass and has a metal frame, and the facade is very curved, perhaps even more than the pictures and renders show. And those are beautiful curves I'm talking about. Glass at the front as well, and a small teardrop notch here at the top side. The phone is not slippery in spite of the quantity of glass, and it comes with pretty thick measurements, 9.7 millimeters and a hefty 208 grams. Even though I have good news for you, you will not feel those 208 grams because they're very well distributed. Now, aside from the hue you see here, there are other versions like Aurora Green and Glacier White. This is supposed to be the Midnight Black, and I quite like it, even though the Aurora Green is my favorite. It's got Gorilla Glass 5 protection at the front and back, curved sides. It's pretty comfy to use even with a single hand, so I'm happy with this design choice. Even though it's heavier than the Huawei P30 Pro, it's still sexy and grippy. Now on the screen front, this is a 6.47 inch AMOLED screen with a resolution of 2340 over 1080 pixels and HDR10 support. It also has always on display and a small teardrop notch here at the top side. And I'm going to watch a video right now, a test video for 60 frames per second HDR clips. Here we go. Should show us all we need about this beautiful screen. Extremely vivid colors, excellent brightness, even the contrast was fine on a very weirdly hot December day. Also wide angles, deep blacks, good immersion on account of the narrow bezels. Basically anything you could want, you have it with this screen here. Now we also did a bunch of tests, so let's see how those panned out. So I'm going to start first with the pixels. This is the pixel arrangement. We put it under the microscope. It's a pentile matrix. And then we measure the brightness and achieve the top level of 550 lux units, which is pretty solid. It beats the Samsung Galaxy S10 Plus and the Huawei P30 Pro. At the same time, it scores below the Samsung Galaxy Note 10 Plus and the Xiaomi Redmi K20 Pro. Now, if you're not happy with the screen calibration, there's a settings option here. We got brightness level, we got a reading mode, we got color scheme with this color palette and options like auto, saturated and standard. Plus a dark mode, text size, you can hide the notch with options from here, and there's also a special area for the always on display and the things it can show. Now we move further from that, we got here the hardware section. We are meeting here with a pretty powerful mid-range CPU, Qualcomm Snapdragon 730G. 8 nanometers octa-core, accompanied by 6 GB of RAM and 128 GB of storage. No microSD card slot here. The good news is that I didn't encounter any trace of lag. No matter what I did and no matter how hard I multitasked, there was no trace of lag. Even in games, you could put the details all the way to the high or ultra level and still the game would function in a pretty fine fashion. Now we go to our sister website where we got the benchmarks. We start with Antutu. As you can see, in Antutu 8 we're placed on the 10th spot, beating the Motorola One Zoom and One Action. In Antutu 7 we're on the 36th spot, beating the Xiaomi Mi 90 and Huawei P20 Pro, but scoring below quite a few phones, including last year flagships like the Note 9, Pixel 3 XL and LG G7 ThinQ. In some of these benchmarks, believe it or not, we got even beaten by the Xiaomi Redmi Note 8 Pro. Well, here not, we actually beat it in Geekbench 5, but there were some of them where we got beaten by that Xiaomi phone. Okay, more tests are found here, more benchmarks. In general, it truly functioned more like a high mid-range phone rather than a true flagship. And this is the graphical department. This is the score, just below the Xiaomi Redmi Note 8 Pro by a small difference. Anyways, you are not going to encounter lag, that's for sure. Another thing I found as a conclusion for the performance is that this phone fits in our list between the Xiaomi Redmi Note 8 Pro and the Samsung Galaxy A80. If you want to talk about the temperature, we also measure that using a thermometer. One example is here, only 32.4 degrees Celsius achieved in benchmarks, and the exact same temperature achieved in games, so there's no trace of overheating here. We have a heat map of the phone. You can see here the max, the average, and the minimum, and things are being kept pretty cool. There's probably a cooling system here in somewhere, or a heat pipe or something like that, and this heat pipe manages to cool down the device even when doing some hardcore gaming. So pretty happy with the dissipation of the heat and the heat level. Now on the battery front, prepare for this. I'm sure you're not ready for this. It's a gigantic battery, 5260 milliamp per hour. Once again, 5260 milliamp per hour and 13-watt charging, which is pretty impressive in my book. Aside from that, we also have a bunch of tests to show you, so let's go straight to that department. We're still here in the test department. So first of all, we did the video playback test, and it's amazing. It's on the 5th spot. It's 21 hours 23 minutes. It's huge, beats Galaxy A70, which was a bit of a hotshot, Galaxy Note 10 Plus, and the Xiaomi Redmi K20 Pro. It's the equal of the Moto G7 Power, a badass battery phone, stays below the iPhone 11 Pro Max, but not by very much. This was video playback, and this is continuous usage. A crazy 15 hours and 5 minutes, 9th spot, beats Galaxy A70, A50, Note 10 Plus, Xperia 5, you name it. Stays below the Xiaomi Mi 90 and the Zenfone 6 somehow. And possibly the biggest surprise, the charging, only 1 hour and 7 minutes. It's great, and after 1 hour of charging, you're at 96%. Also after 30 minutes of charging, you're at 52%. So color me impressed, color me very impressed by this battery. Possibly the selling point so far. Now on the acoustics front, we only get a singular speaker. I would have loved the stereo setup, but we just have this speaker here. Not a very inspired placement because you will cover it in landscape, sadly, when gaming and watching videos. There's promise of hi-fi, high resolution, and guess what? We also have an audio jack available here. Now the actual listening experience, let's check it out. So in spite of what I just mentioned, you can still hear the music even when you cover the speaker, so that's something nice. Now the overall experience, the body doesn't vibrate, so that's a nice thing to hear. The volume is very high, the bass is, I would say, so-so. We needed more bass, but the highs are pretty nifty. And the voices were warm. I know there's an equalizer, hi-fi audio and all that, but they're only applied when you're using a pair of headphones. Now we also did some other tests. You have a decibel meter, and that one revealed for us the following results. Okay, so this is the multimedia one where we scored 99.7 decibels in games. It's the equal of the iPhone 11 Pro Max. With this value, it beats Xperia 1 but stays below the Huawei P30 Pro. The other test was acoustic sample. It's 89.9 decibels, and if you followed our tests, that one is pretty impressive, beating the OnePlus 7 Pro and the Redmi Note 8 Pro from Xiaomi. We go further, we have reached the camera. So, first 108 megapixel camera phone in the stores. The first Penta camera phone which may actually be good. The Nokia PureView was a disappointment. And here at the front, we have a 32 megapixel camera that combines pixels and it's hidden inside the notch. Now at the back, things get serious. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 cameras. Okay, so here we go. The main camera is the 108 megapixel one. It's got a Samsung HMX sensor and the f1.69 aperture, also optical image stabilization, and it combines 4 in 1 pixels. We also have a 12 megapixel portrait camera with 2x optical zoom, and also a 20 megapixel ultra wide camera for those lovely wider shots. That one has a 5-piece lens and autofocus. There's also a 5 megapixel camera, is the ultra tele camera with optical image stabilization and 10x hybrid zoom plus 50x digital zoom. Also should offer 5x optical zoom. And finally, the macro camera, which I believe is this one here, a small one, 2 megapixel shooter for the macros. That's it in a nutshell. You can shoot 4K video in 30 frames per second. There's AI, there's a night mode, and also the 960 frames per second slow motion, ultra slow motion video. I don't know if you noticed, but we also have a sum total of 4 LED flashes here, 2 softer ones and 2 regular LED flashes. Okay, so that's about it. I will not insist too much on the camera UI. You probably saw it in the unboxing. Okay, and as usual, I'm going to go deep into the gallery now, so be prepared for a lot of chatter. So it's one of these crazy December days when it's very hot outside, 15 degrees Celsius. Took advantage of the sun and went for a stroll. These are daytime shots, so here we go. First of all, I like the way the sky was calibrated here. Okay, the rotate is now on. We can start our adventure. So once again, I am very picky when it comes to the shots that portray the sky. Sometimes the sky is an unnatural blue. Here it's a natural blue, pretty close to the actual reality. Started off with a few shots, and this is 2x zoom. Reasonably impressed by it. So far so good. OnePlus 7 Pro level, expecting to reach the Huawei P30 Pro level, but we'll get more about that later. We started then taking some ultra wide shots. Xiaomi has resorted to some corrections, so you will not see curved areas on the sides. I can confirm that, no curved areas on the sides. However, you will going to be losing some details and some colors on the sides of the ultra wide photos. Once again, in the photo department, excellent water texture, excellent level of detail and colors. And we do have 108 megapixel photos, full resolution for your enjoyment on the PC. And on the PC, you can start cropping and cropping and cropping till your hand hurts on the mouse. You'll be truly impressed. And if you look at the color of a regular shot, you'll enjoy the sky, but if you go to the ultra wide one, you may notice that the colors are a bit different. Not noticeably, but at the edges you may notice it. So now I'm going to start our big adventure in the world of zoom. So this is the ultra wide shot, this is the regular shot, and now I'm starting to zoom. This is 2x, this is 5x, and then we keep on zooming till we go to the crazy 50x magnification. So if you want to compare this to the Huawei P30 Pro, I'll be the first to say it. That one has better clarity when it goes past 5x. Till it reaches 5x, they're pretty comparable here. The P30 Pro has clearer images at 10x, 20x, 30x, and also even at 5x, so you can tell which is which. Well, at least the trained eye can. I would say that up to 10x, you will not be able to tell the difference. I can tell at 5x, but not sure who can. Okay, so about the selfies, some of them feature a doll face. I tried to remove all the many corrections to the lips, to the eyes. There are many default activated things, so we'll take more beautiful selfies. I don't want that, so try to get rid of them. In the end, the selfies aren't bad, the focus is okay, but what's behind me is, well, too bright. So you better get a proper area where the sun falls on your face, doesn't shine behind you. Okay, so I'm loving the texture of the hair, of the skin, of the clothes. In general, I had no problems with these selfies. I would say they're on par with what people expect, but some of them feel a bit too doll face. And the brightness is, well, pretty good. This is a sample of bokeh, not bad. The bokeh is a bit fake, software-like, but it's software-like after all, doesn't use a second camera. Good separation of the two planes at least, doesn't cut into my hair. Each thread of hair is separated from the tree in the background, so that's nice. Okay, convincing texture of the eyes and of the face, so I would say so far so good. A lot of selfies here. We go further, beautiful ducklings on the lake. Forgot to mention colors, very happy with the color calibration, the blues, the reds, whatever you want. Excellent close-ups, and here I also started taking some macros. Here somewhere I have a lot of shots. Okay, so these are the macros. pretty convincing. I would say they're on par with the Xiaomi Redmi Note 8 Pro, and I would say slightly below the Motorola One macro ones. That one is specialized on macro after all. Okay, even more selfies. I love this perspective here. It's like it's asking for a zoom photo, and that's what we started to do. We also took an HDR, which was pretty solid in solving the too high dynamic range. And here starts the zoom, and we start to zoom and zoom. Once again, you can't tell the difference between this one and the Huawei P30 Pro until you go past 10x or so. Okay, so this is a regular shot, and this is an HDR shot. We tried it out here, and as you can see, the ultra wide photo is a bit darker compared to this one. It's a difference of aperture of the lens. And finally, you can get to see some colors. Lovely blues, reds, purples, and oranges. And we even tried out bokeh on Donald Duck in order to try and separate his face from the background. And we can also alter the depth of field from the options. Several more colors here, and at least one of these shots is a 108 megapixel one, so you can truly zoom in like crazy on your PC. Of course, they take a lot of space, but in the end, not many phones can do that. Actually, this is the only one which you can buy right now. Okay, so we have a lot of photos here, as you can see. And one of the coolest things about it is that you can take photos even with the sun in front of you in contre-jour, and I had zero problems with that. So color me impressed. I would say that the average user will not be able to tell the difference between the Huawei P30 Pro and this phone, which is no small feat for Xiaomi, which didn't used to conquer the tops of the ExoMark and other landmarks. Now let's see the low light pics. We also took those. So in the end, keep that in mind. Daytime photos compatible with any flagships out there, even the ultra wide ones. Okay, so low light photos. Pretty impressive zoom, even though you're losing quite a bit of clarity and detail during the nighttime. Clearly darker ultra wide shots, so that's something to remember. Every once in a while we had a missed shot, which may happen if you rush too much. It can handle the lights pretty well, the sources of light. I felt that the captures were a bit darker compared to what I got on an iPhone and on the Galaxy Note 10, but we had a night mode to save us. So the ultra wide shots were not very impressive during the nighttime, I can tell you that, but the regular ones look pretty nice. Good lighting, nice colors, solid zoom even. So overall, I'm pretty impressed even by the low light capture. Comparable to the flagships out there, but still maybe the first half of the year flagships, not the second half, closer to the Galaxy S10 than the Galaxy Note 10. Don't get me wrong, they're superb, but the ultra wide ones and the lack of, I would say, more brightness spoils the party a little bit. And also some of the photos have artifacts around the light sources. So there's that. It's a phone that can fight any camera out there, and in the zoom department the average user won't tell the difference between this and the Huawei P30 Pro. Okay, so we're done with the photos. I would go ahead and put this on par with the OnePlus 7 Pro for now, and I would say 90% of the Huawei P30 Pro. And in the video department, let's see what we're getting here. It's got the Mi Video app and got the folders here. So we have a total of 14 videos taken with this phone. Okay, let's try and organize them somehow. This is the first one, actually. Okay, so things I noticed when shooting video. I like the texture of the water, pretty realistic. Okay, color calibration, a slight tendency to expose the image higher than usual. It's crisp, and I particularly love the microphone here. If you listen closely to the music, the voices, the ambience, it's actually a better than usual microphone. You can truly notice that more than on other phones. Okay, so not low light yet. This is the stabilization test. I actually descended stairs, and not bad. You'll see the image is not flickering, there's no trembling, there's no refocus. The focus was spot on the whole time I shot videos, and I remember there was an only Xiaomi phone I ever tested with solid video. It was the Xiaomi Mi Mix 3, the one with the sliding part at the top. That one was the only solid filming I ever did with the Xiaomi. This is the second one, and it's much better than the Xiaomi Redmi Note 8 Pro. Possibly one of the best, if not the best Xiaomi phone for filming out there. Solid stabilization, nice all-around colors, selfie videos, here we go. Okay, so it won't win any awards, but it's pretty solid, this one. Comparable to an iPhone maybe, but if you're shooting in Full HD, well, there are many phones out there shooting in 4K with the selfie cameras, and nobody can compare with the Galaxy Note 10 Plus in that department. So it's no Galaxy Note 10 Plus, it can maybe fight an iPhone, just maybe. Not enough for a vlogging career, and we go further to this one. We're starting to go into the 4K back camera videos right now. They're incredibly crisp and detailed, excellently colored and textured. Zero differences from a OnePlus 7 Pro, Galaxy S10, Note 10, iPhone, Xperia 5, you name it. And now you can see the scenery. Excellent change of exposure from darker to lighter areas. So color me impressed. Some colors at last. There were times when the vegetation felt a bit off, where the green wasn't feeling realistic. This one is also a bit whiter than usual, but only a slight hue, nothing serious. And the focus and zoom are also pretty fine. I wouldn't call the zoom better than usual. That's something to notice here. Okay, so I actually shot a few of the videos in ultra wide just to see how they do. And let's maybe try and find it. This is the ultra wide capture. I just did it for the sake of it, and guess what? It's actually not bad. It's actually shockingly good. I remember shooting an ultra wide video with the Sony Xperia 1 and 5 and were disappointing. This is much better. I would even go as far as to make this better than the Huawei P30 Pro in the video department, but it's a pretty tall order. And I also went ahead and shot a video with the 2x special telephoto camera. You can see it here. Things look pretty crisp. But then if you shoot videos starting from 5x, things aren't that crisp anymore. Okay, so in the end, comparable to the Huawei P30 Pro, maybe beating it, and very close to the OnePlus 7 Pro, but below the Galaxy Note 10 Plus for sure. Low light video capture, we got one here. It includes a lot of music, trying to avoid copyright problems, and here we go. There's a lot of walking around and a lot of light sources, and the camera handles them okay. Stabilization fades away in the nighttime, I'll give you that, but things remain crisp, clear, and the colors are pretty nicely calibrated. It can handle bright lights, it can handle moving subjects, but the stabilization, well, I've seen better in the world of Samsungs, to be honest. Okay, so that's about it camera-wise. Basically, it's comparable to the Huawei P30 Pro, and it's the equal of the OnePlus 7 Pro as a core, as a whole, but not exactly on par with the Galaxy Note 10 Plus. But the margin is very small, about 10% maybe. On the connectivity front, we already have an extra, the infrared emitter on the top. USB-C, audio jack, and also a microphone here, and also a microphone here, so two microphones already. We also have 4G+, there's VoLTE available here. We got Wi-Fi dual band, we got Wi-Fi direct, Wi-Fi display, Bluetooth 5.0, NFC, GPS, Galileo, GLONASS, and Beidou, LTE category 15, and FM radio even. The calls were okay, and the microphone was just as badass as when it was recording for the videos. Did a bunch of speed tests, so actually going to go to the app. It's simpler that way. You can see the results here. On 4G we went as high as 183 megapixel downloads, 63.1 upload, that's fine. Wi-Fi a top level of 69.5 to 53.8. I've seen better, but in the end it may be the fault of the network. Now on the software front, not much to say. I'm pretty sure I've shown you this MIUI 11 on top of Android Pie before. It's pretty snappy, even lacking a Snapdragon 855 or 90 Hz screen, is still pretty snappy. So here we have the, let's say it's a Vault. It's the aggregator of useful things like shortcuts, like tools. You can write a note, add stuff to your calendar. Multitasking is done like this with 2 rows of thumbnails. And here we have a cleaner, security scan. And you can also do the whole split screen thingy by pressing here and holding an app and then doing this. So that's the split screen. Now if you're going to pinch the screen, you're going to go to the widgets department, which is just as transparent and white like the One UI experience from Samsung. Speaking of transparent and white, this area here, the drop down one, you got your quick settings, which are quite useful. There's a reading mode, there's also dark mode, which I just activated. You can see it here and throughout the interface. Do not disturb, video record for the screen, and that's about it. As usual for MIUI, there's no app drawer here. All the apps are placed on the home screens. There's about 30 plus of them. We got the main ones from Google, also YouTube Music. Interestingly, there's a bunch of tools, including a screen recorder, browser, got security here, which is ready to optimize everything. Calendar, there's also the weather, file manager, Facebook and Netflix pre-installed, and of course a mountain of settings. There's always on display, there's battery and performance, digital well-being, special features, game turbo, quick reply, and second space. Security wise, you saw me messing about with the fingerprint scanner throughout the review, and as you can see, it takes quite a while to load up and read your fingerprint. It may be accurate, but the time is too long to call it a proper, fast and accurate solution. Once again, it's accurate, but it's taking too long for the whole animation to pop up. Well, maybe if it was a different animation, things would be better, but in the end, it's just the recognition which is taking too long. Other than that, I think we've covered everything here, and well, that's about it. I think it's time for the verdict, and let's access our proper website. Here we go. Now, on the Pro side of the phone, obviously, it's got a pretty design. It's also comfy, a solid camera and zoom, the best video capture ever seen on a Xiaomi phone. It's got a very bright screen, a superb battery life, gigantic, even the charging is fine. We got an audio jack, we got an infrared emitter. I would say there are no problems with the ultra-wide capture I've seen on many phones. And in the end, it's got a great 108 megapixel camera, which you cannot find on any other phone in stores right now, and the price is pretty okay in my book. Those are the pros. On the cons side, no waterproofing, no micro SD, no top level CPU. The zoom is a smidge below the Huawei P30 Pro, if we're being honest. The low light video could have been better. We don't have stereo speakers, and the fingerprint scanner, well, not the fastest in the world, but that may be fixed with an update in the future. In the end, yes, you can call it a Huawei P30 Pro rival, because it is, and it's also a bit cheaper. It's got the best video shooting of any Xiaomi phone, and it's definitely about 2 or 3 times better than the Nokia 9 PureView, the other Penta camera phone. It's basically a more powerful Xiaomi Redmi Note 8 Pro, if we're being honest. The real star of the show is the battery, combined with the 108 megapixel camera. Once you get to a PC and zoom in onto a 108 megapixel shot from this phone, you'll understand the hype. Once you use it for a few days and see that you will not need to charge the battery, you'll understand the hype again. So choosing between this one and the Huawei P30 Pro. Now, considering the current reputation and problem of Huawei, people may be inclined to choose this one. It's also cheaper, it's got a brighter screen than the Huawei phone, it's got more battery life than the Huawei phone, and once it gets Android 10, should be moving properly. Now, the Huawei phone has louder speakers, and actually 2 of them, and slightly better zoom, and the video department, they're very tight. In the end, this one seems to check more boxes than the Huawei P30 Pro. So that's about it. We can recommend it for a purchase for the year end, and it's a premiere. Any way you call it, it's a premiere, the first 100 megapixel phone to hit the stores, 108 actually. This is it from us. Bye bye.